Welcome to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. I just got in my news feed a news item utilizing Chris Mellon's new take on the drones and this exquisitely weird and fascinating situation that is in America. It is over there in the UK. Apparently it's spreading. There are lots of drones being displayed. I'm going to share a couple of brief clips off of this newsreel by Cuomo of News Nation. There is a congressional representative, Chris Mellon, and Ryan Graves talking about the drones. This video put out just a half an hour ago. It is 8:45 p.m. Mountain Time in the United States of America as I record this video. This is fascinating stuff, how everybody is throwing everything out there. Something is happening. I mean, let's just face it. Let's take a look at this.
We have Representative Anna Paulina Luna. She is on the House Oversight Committee, which held hearings on UFOs and UAPs. And to be honest, one of the few who took this seriously early. We have Christopher Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, who specializes in unidentified flying objects, and Ryan Graves, former Navy pilot turned UFO whistleblower. Thank you to each and all. And just quickly, does anybody believe that I have it wrong and that this is some great mystery that nobody knows any of the answers to? All right, good. I'll start with you, Representative. How do you explain how you keep hearing that there are divisions of government that are involved in different types of undertakings, but they can't come clean, even with members of Congress, even with a special subcommittee, about what is in the air over New Jersey and elsewhere?
Look, it's unacceptable, and for them to undermine Representative Andrews' credibility in saying that he's talking to people that he does believe that these are drones from other nefarious foreign actors. I mean, it just goes to show, obviously they're checked out before the holidays and they know that they're leaving office. And so I believe that they're not really interested in finding out what's happening. And it's the unfortunate truth of what happens in Washington, especially when there's a new incoming administration. But to be clear, what we're seeing right now happening, not just in the drone sphere, but I think on the topic of UAPs, is you're right. There has been a change in technology. And also with the fact that people can now record, you have devices, they can't really hide it anymore. So I think the Pentagon and the government as a whole is looking at how to address this to the American people. But there's no doubt in my mind that Representative Andrew was telling the truth. It's very likely that these are drones from foreign adversary. And if you don't believe that the U.S. government would cover something up, just look at how they responded with the Chinese spy balloon.
Okay, so at this point, I would like to just point out something that was said in the comments that I think is extremely interesting. Okay, now it is a felony to shoot these things down out of the sky, so don't go that direction. But what about sticking powerful spotlights on them? I mean, if they are out there recording video or doing infrared or whatever, because nobody knows. Nobody gives a flying flip about the drones enough to find out even whose they are. And this has been going on for weeks. Now, just bear with me for a moment. Our government is quite inept at things. I'll be the first to admit. I mean, we keep electing real idiots into power like idiots, and we apparently are not intelligent enough as a group of Americans to change that, because we keep putting stupid idiots into power through our voting because we're so persuaded by advertisements. That's just lies. But I get it. Our government is incompetent. Their IQ level is their shoe size. I get that. Now, that's an insult to the American voter for putting them there in the first place. I get all that. I'm not here to insult us. I'm here to point out the obvious. They can't not know after 3 to 4 weeks of these drones flying around. They can't be this dismally ignorant. So they are lying to us. They obviously know what is going on. Now, what this does inexorably is it leads us to realize that they do know who belongs to these drones. Or they do know who these drones belong to. It's their own. It's our own militaries. Now, we can't answer the question why right now. That's obvious. Nobody is going to answer that question of why all of this, because there's something going on that wants to make us think in a certain direction in order for something else to be allowed to happen. And I am not a conspiracy theorist. I know this just stinks of conspiracy. I'm well aware of that. But rationally, there can't be any other choice. We know our government is without question the most spectacularly well-armed government, our military, etc., on this planet. We know we have the technology to find out what these are. And there's no question that they've done that. So something else, it appears to me, is happening entirely. I don't know what. I don't like this. I don't like this. But our government is, for lack of a better understanding, doing some kind of social experiment with our own media through our telephones to see what happens, or something. Something is going on that they're going to try to pull the wool over our eyes yet again in the future, near or far, who knows, and they think they're going to be able to get away with it because we are either too naive, or we're too suspicious, or we're so ignorant that they now realize, aha, they'll never be able to second guess what we're doing. Now we can do what we're really hoping to do, and nobody will be able to stop us. I know it smells conspiracy, but that's the angle I'm leaning to. Let's keep going on this.
That's a good point. And look, you know this. You're in Florida. Mellon knows this. Graves knows this. A lot of these drones, like the ones we're showing right now, you see navigation lights on them. You see a red and a green. You know this from boating and down. So they have the same things. Aircraft are the same thing that boats do. They have a red and a green. So it's not like they're from some outer atmosphere. Let me start with you, Mr. Mellon. Do you believe that there are more and that it's understood and explainable?
I believe there are more. I think it's important for people to understand that this has been going on since at least 2017, which is to say these smaller, brightly lit drone-like vehicles violating restricted U.S. military airspace in sensitive areas around nuclear power facilities, nuclear weapons storage facilities. A year ago today, roughly, this was Langley Air Force Base was taken offline by drones. And that continued that was exactly a year ago this month. And that was about a year after there was a similar sort of pattern in the Western United States for several months near some of our ICBM fields. So it's troubling that after all this time, we still haven't captured any of these things. We still haven't brought them down.
Do we know that?
Where they're coming from. We are really in a position of ignorance here, and hopefully this will maybe at long last, after all these prior events and the Chinese balloon, get some people to take a hard look at what do we need to do to get our hands on one of these things so we can get to the bottom of this.
Right.
See, the way Mellon is saying this is, and I'm probably going to take it in the teeth for this, I get it, but I have friends who are in law enforcement, and I know how they, and this is a bad analogy probably, but I know how they build police cars, and you can't outrun a cop car. You can't. You go get in your hottest brand new 2024 Mustang, and you cannot outrun a cop car. They build the suspension differently. Cop cars can zip through a neighborhood without ever hitting the brakes. They can corner at 45 miles an hour. I've been in one with a friend of mine several years ago who demonstrated this to me. Just idea. This is the idea. The superiority of the government computers' capabilities are vastly more than what we get as John Q. Public. Come on. Their weapons are obviously superior. Everything about them is going to be superior to what we have. And the pattern is this has happened over nuclear installation sites. This has happened over Air Force bases, Langley, for instance. And now, notice, nuclear installation sites, now the Air Force bases, and now civilian neighborhoods by the dozens. And the exaggeration of the size of these things keeps growing because it's unnerving us. Are they testing our resolve? Are we going to obey the law and not attack these things? I don't know. I really don't. I'm just saying this whole thing seems to me like a suspicious test. I'll be happy to be demonstrated wrong with evidence if and when it comes out. It's fine. But at this point, I can't help but see it as something different than UFOs. And can I clear the air here? Listen, we all know what we mean when we say UFOs. Look at the sensationalizer YouTube channels who mention UFOs. They get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. And the videos they are showing are not UFOs. And we all know this. When we hear that word UFO, we're thinking little alive beings that sort of human-like flying these. That's what we envision. And that's why it's so spectacular. Oh my God, it's a UFO, right? That has never been verified with this drone situation. We know drones, they began as small drones. Now they've, a small car. Pretty soon they were the size of a SUV. Now someone has just recently, just within the last couple of days, said, oh man, this is the size of a bus. Someone else decided not to be outdone, and they said, holy cow, it's the size of a house. And now pretty soon it's going to be the size of a school. And then probably tomorrow it's going to be the size of a mega hospital. What is it they're testing us on? I don't know. But there is something really fishy with this. Are they trying to test to see if we can psychologically handle it? If real UFOs show up by the hundreds, how are we going to react? Are we going to get mass hysterical? Well, we've done pretty good. We've been calling the authorities so much that it's forcing them to have news conference, and they are completely embarrassing themselves with their absolute abject, stupid explanations that virtually none of us buy, and virtually none of them care. Because they don't have to give you the right answer. All they're doing is giving us answers. By now, that should be obvious. So what really is going on here is the question. Let's keep looking.
I mean, look, Chris, you know better than I do, but I don't know that they haven't gotten any of them. I would read it another way, just as somebody who's been in the business of deception detection for 25 years, that, you know, that calmness of them being not concerned about it is usually a function of having information. And Ryan, you and I have talked many times.
There might be that might be the key there. Yeah, for real. They already know what the drones are. What they don't know is our reaction to this type of a situation, right? That could be the clue. Yeah, they're too calm. They are too calm, and they're way, way, way too patient in their own. From our perspective, they don't know what they are. They know what they are. That it's not about UFOs. This has to do something with how would our own public actually react about some kind of event like this if it was the real deal. How can we test that? Again, my suspicion, just strictly my suspicion,
about how many stories you've heard about what they did take down or what they found on the ground, and programs that use a lot of money to use special operators to go and recover these things. But SUV-sized drones, I can't find those on the commercial market. I've been looking for days. How do you explain that part? You think people just get the size wrong, Ryan?
Well, you know, there always is some uncertainty when it comes to judging a moving object in the sky, especially at night and especially as a single source of light. But these things appear to be close enough to the ground where I think I have pretty high confidence in the size predictions that they're estimating, give or take 20%. But, you know, these sizes and these types of behaviors are something that we've seen and we've talked about, Chris, over the years, starting at Virginia Beach, working its way further north into the Langley area, and perhaps now into New Jersey. I don't think we can conclusively say that they're inherently linked necessarily, but with the mixed messages that we're getting between the legislative branch and between the executive branch, it really feels like the Biden administration is gaslighting us on the seriousness of this issue.
There it is again. There's the hint again. We are being gaslighted and we're being fed contradictory information, or maybe good information, and they're changing up the sizes of the drones in order to see how will the public perceive these. What happens if gigantic UFOs come flooding in by the thousands? How are we going to react? So I'm not overly convinced. In fact, and I will accept the criticism. I don't think these are UFOs. And if I might, please, with just a little bit of an indication of my problem with the next explanation that I have personally seen on many websites in the comments. Well, UFOs are shapeshifters. We now know that the UFO craft can change to look like drones, or they can change. We know they can change into invisibility, etc. And so the UFOs can change into any shape they want. Then it's unfalsifiable, isn't it? That if anything can be a UFO, then everything is a UFO, including trees, including the little red wagon your own child is pulling through the neighborhood. The UFO is shapeshifted and landed into that little red wagon, and now it's spying on the family. I mean, this appears to me to lead to absurdity, not enlightenment. So I'm iffy on that, the shape-shifting theme. The other major explanation of the UFOs is they are very loud. They are loud like drones. Well, the UFOs can just add sound as opposed to being quiet. If it is a foreign adversary, this is not a good way to spy or sneak in I get it. Our government does not have our best interest in mind. It has its own. If these were Russian or Chinese drones, they're just not. There is something else going on. They would be attacked, shot down, spotlighted with great big spotlights. We would terrorize them from the ground far more than we're doing. We would know. I think. I get it. The Chinese balloon, you can use that as a basis for saying, yeah, you don't know diddly spit. Well, the fact is, I don't know diddly spit, and neither does anyone else. We're all still trying to figure this out. But it appears to me that there's a few hints here that it is we, the American people, that are being tested for something else. That's my best guess at this point with what very little I know about this. No hard, fast conclusions, just cautious and keeping my eye on it. Thanks for watching the BYP Responds. I will bring as much more as I can as I have time. I appreciate all your support. Welcome to my new subscribers. I hope you enjoy the channel. I have tried to give us all I can, and I will be back with much, much more very soon. Have a great night.